Hi Caregivers and families, welcome back. This week it's all about role-playing. Role-playing is such a great tool to use to help your little ones develop their language, speech, and vocabulary. It helps them organize and process ideas and thinking, and also helps to engage them and stimulate their imagination. One way of using role-playing is to retell a story with it. We've been reading The Mitten this month, and students are beginning to retell the story using these character hats. At home, you can print them out from the internet, or you can draw these animals and stick them on the back of a popsicle stick or a wooden stir stick, and then you'll have your retelling role-playing puppets to use. You can get this copy of the story at your local bookstore, library, or even online. If you type in on YouTube, The Mitten, you should be able to find couple of different videos reading the story of The Mitten. What you can do at home is you can, as you're listening or reading the story, you can act out the story with your mitten, or you can read it first and then retell the story and see how much they remember. Another thing you can do with them is to make up your own version of the story. Maybe it'll still be the mitten, but instead of these animals, it'll have different animals in the story. Or it can be a story about a sock or a sweater. On top of retelling, there's so many different ways of using role-playing in everyday lives. What I like to do at school sometimes is at snack time, we'll pretend that the classroom is a fancy restaurant, and we'll all have to take on the role of a really fancy person, and we'll use nice words. We'll use some of the phrases that we might use in a fancy restaurant. So for example, a waiter might come over, or someone would role play as the waiter, and they'll come over and say, "How are you doing this evening, sir or madam?" And the other student will role play the patron and say, "I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?" And so these are great ways of adding social skills and adding social phrases into their play. You can do that at home when it's dinner time. Pretend that you're eating at a fancy restaurant. Maybe pretend that one of you is the waiter or waitress. Another scenario that you can do is you can pretend you're at the shop. Maybe you're at the toy store today. Maybe you're at a grocery store today. There's lots of different language that's used in these different environments, and so role-playing is a great way to introduce them. You can also pretend you're in the doctor's office, dentist's office, or even at the playground. Try some of these scenarios this weekend and see where it takes you. Sometimes you'll be surprised what they know. Use your imagination. Goodbye. See you next week.